Hey everybody, this is Isaiah from Magic System Monday, and I'm just here to let you all know that this video you're watching now is actually a clip. It's one segment out of a much larger video. If you want the full version, you can find it in the comments below. The last thing I have to complain about here when it comes to these two sources of chakra is simply the fact that there's so much wasted potential with them. You take these two separate energies and make chakra with them, right? And then later down the line, we are introduced to nature energy, which is a whole separate form of energy that you can combine into your chakra. And combining that energy into your chakra gives it its own unique special qualities. But I thought that was very interesting and that was very cool. But that leads to an obvious question. If at the very least nature energy has its own special qualities and effects by weaving it into chakra, do physical and spiritual energy have their own unique qualities? Like seriously, what would happen if you conjured up physical energy alone, or spiritual energy alone? Or if your chakra was disproportionately balanced, what would happen exactly? Because if we're using the logic of nature energy that we see later down the line, something would have to happen, right? And yet there's nothing. These two have no distinct qualities and are barely ever brought up again despite still being canon. Now, I don't know what the writer would have or could have done about this, but I have a couple of ideas of my own. It would have been very interesting to see characters who favor physical energy over spiritual energy, even if they couldn't directly conjure the energy itself, because I feel like those energies should do something. At the very least, we could use this as a basis to figure out what types of techniques or ninjutsu that people would be better at using. Perhaps, what if people who were better at using, for example, what if people who had stronger spiritual energy or more talented with that, ended up taking more to genjutsu? Or people who had physical energy, it was easier for them to use chakra to amp their physical body. Like, the whole walking on walls and water, and then increasing their strength and speed and stuff like that. What if just having that made them better? Now, obviously the people in Naruto are superhumans, so there's arguably some diminishing return on that. But even at least just explaining that would make it feel like the world is more dynamic and that it has some meaning. Because if we use that, if we assume that was canon, it's not. If we pretended it was, and then asked ourselves which of the two each individual character would favor, we probably have an answer for literally every character. For example, somebody like the people in the Hyuga clan, you might argue with their advanced perception, maybe they're better at spiritual energy than physical energy. And then maybe somebody like Naruto, who has such high vitality, being from the Uzumaki clan, maybe they favor physical energy. That's just one idea. It doesn't have to be that one exactly. All I'm trying to say is there's a lot of wasted potential that could have easily been capitalized on here in a very, very simple way, but the writer just kind of didn't do it. Now, for those of you who are well versed in Naruto, you might notice that I'm actually leaving something out. I'm leaving out Yin and Yang release. And truth be told, while it does kind of fit the description, I have a couple of grievances that I want to talk about. For starters, not only does our explanation of Yin and Yang release come extremely late into the series, but we also know almost nothing about either of them. We know that Yin and Yang release favor either physical energy or spiritual energy to produce certain effects. The way it's talked about, it almost seems to be implied. The way it's talked about in a lot of the source material almost makes it sound like it's some form of special ability that not everybody has access to, with maybe one and a half exceptions. Now, the main exception is actually genjutsu, which is interesting, because it seems to very heavily be based off of yin release. I think there's even one character who suggests that just about all genjutsu are based off of yin release. Beyond this, we have very, very few examples of jutsu that are actually based off of yin release, but we have a number of jutsu that a lot of fans believe are based off of them, where there's actually no real proof. This bothers me tremendously because, like I said, since everyone both has physical and spiritual energy, even if they favor one or another, it stands to reason to me that there are specific qualities of each that everyone should be able to draw upon, even if they're better at one than the other. But this almost seems to be paywalled behind either bloodline or a couple of specific jutsu that are exceptions, and beyond that we know literally nothing else about them. Now, truth be told, I'm not trying to imply that the information that we get with Yin Yang release is some form of contradiction. Truth be told, I couldn't call the contradiction if I wanted because there's basically no information. We simply don't know enough to come to any real conclusion, except for one, and that is to say that the entirety of the concept of physical and spiritual energy, as I mentioned earlier, is still vastly underutilized. Now, you may be looking at me and saying, "Hey Isaiah, maybe those aren't that big of a deal." And quite frankly, I disagree. However, we can agree to disagree on that. It's not the end of the world. There are more issues that we can see throughout the course of Naruto in its retcons that even further warp the landscape. Alright everybody, that's about it for today. If you want to hear the rest of this video, you can find the full version in the description below. But if you want to take a look at this video segment by segment, you can find the link for that in the description as well. In any case, this is Isaiah from Magic System Monday, and I'll see you all next time.